I want to start today's video by saying something that I do not say often enough. If you are between the ages of 75 and 85, and you are watching this video right now, you have already done something that millions of people never get the chance to do. You have lived a full, rich, complicated, beautiful life for 3/4 of a century or more. You have survived things that would have stopped younger people entirely. And in a moment, I'm going to share 6 specific things that researchers, physicians, and neurologists say are the true markers of remarkable aging. Not perfect aging, not flawless aging, remarkable aging. And if you still do even a few of these 6 things at 75, 80, or 85, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not just surviving. You are thriving in ways that modern science finds genuinely extraordinary. My name is Dr. Victor Harlow, and today, this video is for you. Before we get to the 6 things, I want to give you some context about what the human body is actually doing between the ages of 75 and 85. This is a decade that medicine has historically underestimated. For generations, the assumption was that decline in this age range was inevitable, linear, and largely unstoppable. That the best that could be hoped for was management of symptoms, of conditions, of gradual loss. But a growing body of research is fundamentally changing that picture. A landmark long-term study from the MacArthur Foundation Research Network on Successful Aging, one of the most comprehensive aging studies ever conducted in America, followed thousands of adults into their 80s and found something that surprised even the researchers involved. Successful aging at 75 and beyond was not primarily determined by genetics. It was determined by behavior, by daily habits, by the choices people continued to make about how they move through their days. Approximately 70% of the physical changes associated with aging, the researchers concluded, are determined not by DNA but by lifestyle factors that remain within a person's control. 70%. That means the 6 things I am about to describe are not random. They are not luck. They are the result of choices that you, the person watching this video, have been making, consciously or not, for decades. And they are choices that science says matter more than almost anything else. Remarkable thing number 1. You still sleep 6 to 7 hours most nights. This sounds simple, but for adults between 75 and 85, it is anything but. Sleep architecture changes profoundly with age. Deep, slow-wave sleep, the most restorative stage, decreases significantly after 70. The body's circadian rhythm shifts earlier. Pain, medication side effects, and anxiety disrupt sleep continuity, and the ability to fall back asleep after waking, something most younger adults do effortlessly, becomes genuinely difficult. Research published in the journal Nature Aging found that consistently sleeping 6 to 7 hours per night in adults over 75 was associated with significantly better cognitive function, lower rates of depression, better immune response, and a measurably lower risk of cardiovascular events compared to those sleeping fewer than 5 or more than 8 hours. If you are still achieving consistent, reasonably restful sleep in your late 70s or early 80s, your brain is regulating itself correctly. Your cortisol rhythm is functioning. Your body's overnight repair systems are working. That is not small. That is remarkable. Remarkable thing number 2. You still cook your own meals. To younger people, this might sound like a basic daily task, but to any physician who works with adults in the 75 to 85 age range, the ability and motivation to plan, prepare, and cook your own food represents an extraordinary convergence of physical and cognitive capability. It requires fine motor coordination to chop, pour, stir, and handle heat safely. It requires working memory to follow a sequence of steps, manage multiple elements simultaneously, and remember what has already been done. It requires executive function, the higher order thinking that allows you to plan a meal, adapt when an ingredient is missing, and make decisions in real time. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition, Health, and Aging found that older adults who continued to prepare their own meals had significantly higher dietary quality, better nutritional status, stronger social engagement patterns, and lower rates of cognitive decline than those who relied primarily on prepared or delivered food. Cooking is not just feeding yourself. At 75 to 85, cooking is exercising your brain, maintaining your independence, and honoring a lifetime of capability. If you still do it, even occasionally, that is truly remarkable. Remarkable thing number 3. You still walk without holding on to walls, furniture, or another person. Independent ambulation, the ability to walk unassisted, is one of the most clinically significant markers of functional health in adults over 75. The neuromuscular system responsible for independent walking is extraordinarily complex. It requires your cerebellum to continuously process balance signals. It requires your peripheral nervous system to relay sensation from your feet to your brain in real time. It requires sufficient muscle strength in your legs, hips, and core to respond to the dozens of micro-corrections your body makes with every single step. According to data from the National Institute on Aging, by age 80, approximately 30% of adults require some form of assistive device or support to walk safely. By 85, that proportion increases significantly. If you are walking independently, without holding on, at 75, 80, or 85, your brain, your nerves, and your muscles are communicating with a precision and efficiency that places you in a genuinely elite category of aging adults. That is not an exaggeration. That is what the data shows. Remarkable thing number 4. You still remember the names and faces of the people in your life. In a decade where Alzheimer's disease and related dementias affect an estimated 9 million Americans over 65, and where memory concerns are the single most common fear reported by adults between 75 and 85, the ability to reliably recall names, recognize faces, and maintain the threads of personal relationships is genuinely extraordinary. Name and face recognition is one of the most neurologically demanding memory tasks the human brain performs. It requires the hippocampus, the amygdala, the temporal lobe, and the prefrontal cortex to work in coordinated harmony, pulling stored visual information, emotional associations, and linguistic labels together in a fraction of a second. A study from the Harvard Study of Adult Development, one of the longest-running studies of human health and happiness ever conducted, found that adults who maintained strong social connections and reliable personal memory into their late 70s and 80s showed brain scan profiles decades younger than their chronological age. If you still remember your grandchildren's birthdays, your neighbor's name, the face of a friend you haven't seen in years, your brain is doing something that medicine increasingly recognizes as remarkable. Honor it. Remarkable thing number 5. You still have a reason to wake up in the morning. This one is harder to measure than muscle strength or sleep duration. But the research on what clinicians call ikigai, a Japanese concept meaning reason for being or reason to wake up, is among the most compelling in all of longevity science. A 13-year study published in the journal Psychosomatic Medicine followed over 6,000 adults and found that those with a strong sense of purpose, a clear reason to get out of bed each morning, had a 4 times lower risk of developing Alzheimer's disease, a significantly lower risk of heart attack, and measurably longer survival compared to those who reported no clear sense of purpose. Your reason to wake up does not need to be grand. It might be a garden you tend, a grandchild you call every Sunday, a book you are reading, a neighbor whose groceries you check on, a prayer you say, a television program you follow, a friendship you maintain. Whatever it is, if you wake up tomorrow morning with a reason, something that pulls you forward into the day. You possess one of the most powerful longevity factors that science has ever identified. That is not a small thing. That is everything. Remarkable thing number 6. You still care about your health. And I know this about you because you are watching this video right now at 75, at 80, at 85. You are still seeking information, still learning, still asking questions, still doing the work of understanding your body and how to take care of it. Research from the Stanford Center on Longevity found that health-seeking behavior, the active pursuit of health information, medical guidance, and lifestyle improvement, was one of the strongest independent predictors of healthy aging outcomes in adults over 75. Not because the information itself was magical, but because seeking health information reflects something deeper. It reflects agency. The belief that your choices still matter, that your body is still worth investing in, that the years ahead are still worth protecting. A person who stops caring about their health at any age has already begun a form of giving up. You have not given up. You are here, watching, learning, caring. At 75 to 85, that is one of the most powerful things a human being can do. And I want you to know, I see it, and it matters more than you may realize. Now I want to tell you something that ties all 6 of these things together, because when researchers at the MacArthur Foundation, Harvard, Stanford, and the National Institute on Aging looked at adults who were aging remarkably well between 75 and 85, they found that the 6 markers I described today were not independent of each other. They were connected. They formed a system. Adults who slept well were more likely to cook their own meals. Adults who cooked their own meals maintained better cognitive function. Adults with better cognitive function walked more confidently and independently. Adults who walked independently had stronger social connections and sharper memories. Adults with strong memories and social bonds had clearer purpose. And adults with clear purpose, consistently across every study, were the ones still seeking health information and making active choices about their well-being decades longer than their peers. These 6 things are not a checklist. They are a portrait of a person who has, through thousands of daily choices across decades of living, built a body and a mind that is aging in a way that science calls remarkable. If even 3 or 4 of these 6 things describe you today, you are not just surviving your 80s, you are showing the rest of us what it looks like to truly live them. I want to close today with something I genuinely mean, not as a doctor, not as a health educator, but as someone who has spent years studying what the human body is capable of, and who remains every single day in awe of it. Getting to 75, 80, or 85 with your mind clear, your body moving, your meals cooked by your own hands, and your heart still full of reasons to see tomorrow. That is not ordinary. In a world full of chronic disease, sedentary living, loneliness, and despair, that is remarkable. You may not feel remarkable. You may feel the aches in your knees and the stiffness in the morning and the moments when words don't come as quickly as they used to. But remarkable was never about perfection. It was always about persistence. And you, by simply being here, by still caring, still moving, still cooking, still sleeping, still remembering, still waking up with purpose, you are the living proof of what human persistence looks like. Share this video with someone between 75 and 85 who needs to hear this today, because sometimes the most important thing a person can receive at any age is simply being told that what they are doing matters. What you are doing matters. I am Dr. Victor Harlow. Stay strong. Stay informed.